What you waiting for? It's time. Time for love. It's time. Time for the sun and sand. It's time. Time for fun. It's time. It's time. It's time to let your hair down. Come on. Come on. Come on. To have no fear. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. It's time. What you waiting for? It's time. 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 What you waiting for?
Okay, take number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Merv Britto Show. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you who don't know what we are, who we are, what we do, this is the Merv Britto Show. We are a live broadcast. This is not edited. And if you can't believe me, just listen to this. I can still hear myself twice. I'm that good I can hear myself twice. On this Easter Sunday, we're having all kinds of problems. So, technical problems. And I genuinely believe it's because of the guest audio. I don't know, I just love to speak to him. I'm so excited to speak to David. He's been so patient, and I'm going to have to apologize profusely. Is there a reason I'm still hearing an echo? No?
It's a big Easter mystery, Merv. Big Easter mystery.
Doesn't make a difference. I'm so excited about this. I have heard so much about this gentleman who we're going to talk to in a very short time. Very knowledgeable, very passionate about the cause. So it is Easter Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, thank you for tuning in to us. There are going to be hiccups, a couple of hurdles, a couple of speed bumps we've got to overcome to get this right. And in time, it'll get better. So I appreciate your patience, and I thank you for tuning in. Today's Easter Sunday, and we've got a special show with a special guest. Ajay, you've created something that I want to play before we get going for Easter.
Yes.
Can we do that now?
Yes, we can do that right now.
Every spring, Christians around the world celebrate Easter, a time of resurrection, of hope renewed, of peace triumphing over suffering. But this year, the Easter message echoes far beyond church walls. It speaks to a region torn by decades of pain since 1948 and now October 7, 2023. In the heart of this war, where grief and fear often overshadow hope, Easter offers a quiet but powerful reminder that peace is not born from force, but from forgiveness and justice. That true strength lies not in retaliation, but in reconciliation and acceptance to live with one another. Across Jerusalem, Bethlehem and Gaza, where the story of Easter first unfolded, Jesus is calling for a ceasefire, for stopping of the occupation, and for reconciliation. A moment to pause, to reflect, to remember our shared humanity. We are reminded that Jesus' sacrifice was not for one people, but for all. That the resurrection was not a political act, but a divine call to heal what is broken. As violence and forced famine continues to claim lives from the victims of October 7 to the many children and families of Gaza, the Easter message feels urgent, almost prophetic. In a land that has known too much bloodshed, perhaps the greatest act of courage now is to lay down arms and listen, to pressure those that call for war, to work towards peace and justice for all. So, will Goa lead this change?
Very well done. I tell you what, you should be a host, mate. That sounded lovely. That was done on behalf by Wilbert, by the way. That Wilbert, but Ajoy, Mr. Ajoy Beretta, well done. That was a really lovely piece, touching piece about what Easter's all about and what the show's going to be on this Sunday. For all of those people that don't understand or don't know what Easter's all about, it is also called Pascha or Resurrection Sunday. It's a Christian festival that we celebrate and a cultural holiday commemorating the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. As Catholics, we celebrate this all around the world. Christians in many countries celebrate this special day, and we wanted to take this opportunity on this Easter Sunday to speak to somebody who has been very kind, very patient. He's been on hold. He's been asked to test and retest and test again. The one and only Mr. David Albuquerque. Can I see that handsome gentleman? There you are. How are you, sir?
I am great. Happy Easter, Merv. Happy Easter to your team. Feliz Páscoa. Ani Pascha ce festa ce vorbi sogleanku.
Baba, kung ni ulay tamo dito may goin ka. Before I get any further, where are you at right now? Where are you based? Where are you located?
I am in this beautiful city, Brisbane.
Oh, you're in Australia.
In Australia, and for Easter, there's a halo that's above my head.
That makes two of us. I love your haircut, my friend. I tell you what, you are even more.
It's good for us. And you and I go back a long time. Your dad and my dad. I'm allowed to say this, or do you want us to cut?
Go ahead, David.
No, you can say whatever you want. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Merv Britto Show. And here again, I've said to so many people, they want to watch this show. You can get in touch with us. Like David, from anywhere in the world, we love to hear from you. It's an interactive show. It's a live show. It's not edited. We would love to hear from you. Have people call in just exactly like David's doing. We're going to have a lovely chat. I'm so excited to speak to you today. He's calling in from Australia. David, tell us a little bit about yourself and your history. You can absolutely talk about our family ties, by the way. I love it.
Before I get into that, I must say that I am absolutely envious of you. You guys are there in heaven, sipping perhaps Urak. How's the Urak season down there? Is it good?
It's been good. It's been a little bit light. Urak it's already started flowing, but it seems a bit light this year.
Wow. Well, it's a bit less production. But whoever is outside Goa, I mean, those guys must be so envious of you guys.
Envious is one thing. We live here. We take it for granted. Sometimes we don't. People that live here are so busy in their daily lives, you take it for granted that you're in an absolute paradise. And it's only when you go elsewhere do you realize how much you miss this place. David, how long have you been in Australia, by the way?
I've been here 25 years.
Wow. Okay.
And I was a teacher back in India.
Do you miss Goa?
All the time. All the time. I've had beautiful memories there. And I saw a Goa which was, I go back in time in Goa. I was a bit like you in the sense outside Goa, but every holiday we'd come to Goa. And then we settled in Goa when my father retired. But I've done all the things my generation of Goans who've always lived in Goa have done, which is buying chut udog. And with a rope I used to pull it up. I used to go to the piggy toilets. I used to do all the things that have just disappeared. Oh, those were lovely times. They were fantastic times. There were earthen floors with, sand, powder floors. Those earthenware pots. I've done all of that. The nuste, it's being prepared. The prep is going on for the nuste. There's somebody who'd be sitting on a stool, and there was something like to descale the fish. Sitting there, and about 100 cats sitting on a chorus, and the dogs down there. And sometimes the dogs used to come there for their share. And wow, that was another Goan event. My goodness, what a rumpus. I love those times.
You know what? I have this strong feeling that it's not going to happen in one show. We're going to have you on for like multiple shows because you seem to be a man after my own heart. You're talking about all these old, beautiful memories. And if anybody's out there who has any ties, who spent the time back in the day like we did, these really, really fond memories that make this place so special in our hearts. We're going to have to sit and talk about, we're going to have to sit and call you. You're going to be our regular on this show because you've got that history, you've got that knowledge. A lot of people that don't have it now, that are new to Goa or haven't experienced all these things, we're going to have to bring it out to them. We're talking to you on this Easter Sunday for a different reason. So, I'm not going to get right into it. We wanted to premise the show on the fact that Easter is a time of peace. We wanted to spread the peace and figure out how, not just as Catholics, not just as Goans, but as human beings on this Easter Sunday, to celebrate this feast, how could we bring more peace, not just in Goa, but throughout the world? I'm going to ask you some questions, and I've been so excited because Ajay's told me so much about you. I've never had the privilege to speak to you. You've already mentioned you've got the background growing up here in Goa. You've been in Australia for 25 years. I would love to hear your take, just right off the top. Is that a Palestinian, a shawl, a scarf? I don't know what to call it. Is that something you're wearing?
Kafir.
Kafir. Okay.
Kafir.
Okay. Say. I want to know what this is all about. I'd love to know on Easter, what are your thoughts as somebody who celebrates this festival? Give me a little bit of background about what you think, your thoughts about the Easter holiday and peace. What's going on in the world right now?
There is across the world a moral collapse. We've got a whole lot of religions, more religions than you can count, more churches than you can count, more mosques than you can count. More everything that you can count, but the humanity is missing. And it goes back a long time. It goes back to 48. And they say history repeats itself, and it's been repeating itself too often. The Holocaust happened, and the people who were the victims of that Holocaust said never again. And when we heard that, when the world heard that, they believed that never again meant never again for anyone. No sooner were those words uttered, they were breached and violated by the people who uttered them. And the never again that happened, the horrors that happened to Jews in Europe, horrific horrors, were repeated and are being repeated to this day on Good Friday to the Palestinians. They've been shafted royal.
I appreciate, I absolutely respect what you're saying. There are a lot of people around the world. There's many things that are happening, and that's going to open up a huge can of worms. We've got wars happening everywhere. Ukraine, Russia, Gaza. We can come back to all of these different things. I totally appreciate what you're saying. There are a lot of different things, and it's a whole lot of show to talk about what has gotten us to this place right now, what is happening in Gaza. You've got this land where it is right in the center of where multiple the Christians, the Jews, and the Muslims have their base foundation, the origin of their religions in this place. Why and when? Why is this such a mess? And when did this all begin? I mean, as far as all the problems with claiming Jerusalem.
It began in 90s. It actually goes back to the late 1800s when a movement called Zionism started. Zionism was started, its founder was a person called Theodor Herzl. He was a Hungarian, I believe, Jew. He belongs to this Ashkenazi Jews. So you've got three kinds of Jews: the Ashkenazi, you've got the Mizrahi, and you've got the Sephardi Jews. He belongs to the Ashkenazi Jews. He came up with a return to a Jewish homeland. In some way, he wasn't even very clear about where, but a homeland for the Jews. And and at some point, different places were considered, Uganda, somewhere else. And then ultimately, Palestine was considered. So it was a homeland in Palestine. Palestinians are indigenous. They're the cousins of Jews. They are, the absolute cousins. So it's like the Goan. The Goenkar, there's a Goenkar like Ajoy, who's somewhere in your team, and who's been there all his life,
Yeah.
and his ancestors have been there. And then you've got a person like me, and like so many people in London and Swindon and so many other places, going out to make a living for themselves. So some of the Jews went, and they're called the Sephardic Jews. Now, the Palestinians are Jews who stayed behind. Jesus Christ came along and he converted them. They became Christians, most of them. And later on, Islam came there somewhere in AD 60, 639 or 640, and they converted to Islam. So it's like me. So, it's like people like Ajoy remaining behind in Goa and converting to Christian. So they're Christians. Maybe they convert to some religion, and then ultimately they convert to Islam. But that doesn't change a Merv or Goan's Goanness. He may choose whatever religion he wants. His blood is Goan. His shitkori is Goan. The urak that he drinks is Goan. Everything about him is Goan. That's what the Palestinians are. They are converted Jews. So this guy comes along, Theodos, and he says, I'm going to form a land in Palestine, in these Palestinians who remain behind. I'm going to ask them, and I'm going to make a homeland from the river to the sea. That is where the trouble started.
You know what they say, you learn something every day. I had no clue that they're cousins. The Jews or the Israelis and the Palestinians are actually cousins. It is.
Brothers and sisters.
Sorry?
Brothers and sisters.
Well,
it's
we're all
like
brothers and sisters. We all bleed. We all bleed the same. So people talk about different.
Can I just pause you for a second? The Goan and the Mangalorean are actually cousins. Like, cousins in the sense that one went and made. I'm told that many Mangaloreans, I don't know what percentage, but a good percentage of them went to Karnataka, went to Mangalore. They still have the origins. They know the villages in Goa, Aldona, some places. So if that's the link between it's an analogy with the Palestinians. Palestinians and the Jews are cousins in that way. The Jews went to Europe to make a living much before the death of Christ, 300 years before Christ died. They were there. They were traders. They went to seek a fortune. Some of their families remained behind, and they at some point they converted to Christianity and to Islam, and they're the Palestinians.
Let me ask you, David. I've got to ask you. I mean, I love the way you. It's not oversimplification, but it's a very a great analogy about Goans and Mangaloreans and the Konkans and all the different people but we all live in one country, which is India. We're all humans. We bleed the same. It is so complicated, and it's been tried. Many presidents throughout the years have tried to resolve this problem. Yeah, if you are basically the same kind of people, religion causes so many problems. Religion should be something that brings people together. Why if they're cousins, Mangaloreans and Goans, why haven't the Palestinians and the Israelis figured out a way to coexist, to co-survive? Do you need to move one out to make the other one survive, or vice versa? Why can they not? Is it religion? Is it the people that rule these people? We're not even talking about Palestinians. We're going to get more deep into this. About people talk about the Palestinians harboring a lot of terrorist organizations in there, and these terrorist organizations are totally anti-Jew, and they've been creating havoc and killing people for many years. If these two people are quote unquote cousins, why is it so hard to resolve this problem? Why can't we figure out a way that they can coexist in Gaza?
Look, the problem is Zionism. Now, I don't know whether you, in Germany, you had Nazism. One of the things that Hitler said was Lebensraum. Another thing that he had these three terms, Lebensraum. Lebensraum means living space. And his living space was like Napoleon's. Napoleon's France was France today. Tomorrow, Germany, or Prussia. There was no Germany then. There was Prussia, there's Portugal, there's Spain, and practically half of Europe. That's the same with Hitler's Lebensraum. Lebensraum today was Germany, a living space. It expanded. So when you have an ideology which expands and appropriates somebody else's land, you appropriate someone's land, you appropriate his liberty. Wherever an invading army goes, a Gestapo has to follow, an SS has to follow, because everybody loves their land, and no, yeah. So yes, that's what. So then Zionism is this: a state on Palestinian land, from the river to sea, on their land, over their bodies, over their liberty. And it was enunciated by one of the founders, Zev Jabotinsky. He said, we've got to do it. He told at least the man was honest. He says, there's no way we can take away their land. They love their land. And I even know that, I've got his quote down here, He says...
I'm going to ask you, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but I want to ask you this. What is Israel about? You've got Gaza, should be Palestinian. You've got Israel for the Jews, the Israelis, whatever. Why is there a problem in the Gaza Strip? We're talking about this place where there is constant strife. And you know what? I'd love to come up with a solution. Specifically, when you watch these images of innocent people, the Palestinians, the children, the women, the place looks like it is a war zone, and these poor people have to come back to survive. Why do they want to come back to a place? Obviously, like you just mentioned, it's your homeland. It's where you came from.
Merv, can I have a quick break? Can we have a quick break? You've got a good question. You go on with your question. I'll be back in a second, okay?
Okay. Yeah, go for it. Knock yourself out. I am going to continue on. Wilbert Ajoy, it is strange because this is something that we have discussed for many, many days, and we wanted to have the show about Easter. By the way, to everybody, and you two and you three in the studio, Happy Easter.
Wish you the same, Merv, and wish our viewers a very, very happy Easter. We are here trying to improve the world and hopefully find ways and means to connect each other and make the world a better place, starting from today, hopefully.
I hope this Easter, we have a little bit of an Easter miracle and figure out what caused that hiccup initially where I could hear myself echo. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to and possibly watching the Merv Britto Show. There is a team of us involved in making this happen, and we're all in the studio today celebrating Easter together. My wife Joanne, Ajoy Barreto, and the one and only Wilbert Cardozo. We're sitting in here, and we said it's a good time to try and spread some love and talk about what Easter means to everybody, not just us, the people out there listening. If you are listening, we have resolved a lot of the issues, but if you're listening and you want to get involved in this conversation, we are all over social media. If you want to get in touch with us, you can call us, you can message us. We're streaming live, yeah? We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, Ajoy. Yes,
we're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X. Which was formerly Twitter, yes.
Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But most importantly for me, I'd love people to get in touch with us. We're having a very interesting conversation with the one and only Mr. Where is he? Has he come back?
Yeah, he's back.
Mr. Albuquerque, there you are. So for the people that don't believe this is a live show, you couldn't do this. This is not magic. This is a live show. I asked you this question before we took a quick break. I asked you this question about, you've got Israel for the Israelis and the Jews. You've got Gaza where they try to coexist. How do you resolve? How do you come up with a solution where people can live amicably? Because right now, it is a war zone. It's an absolute mess. And these people try to survive. No food, no water, no hospitals, no nothing. You bomb them to heaven, and they still want to live there, right? I don't blame them. That's their home. That's their land. How do you resolve this problem permanently?
Okay. So, I've got a map down here. Okay. You can see this. Let's say this was India, and somebody tried to had to come from Europe by boat and plane in the 20th century And you've been living here for centuries. The Palestinians go back 5,000 years to that same land.
You got to move that up. You got to move it up a little bit. Move it up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
There
so
you
let's
go.
say.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this was India, and India goes back to the BC, the 2000, the Indus Valley civilizations. Europeans turn up in boats and planes in the 20th century, 21st century, and they come along and they said, we're going to form a Jewish apartheid state in India. Okay, like it or not, that is the problem. It's land, Merv. It's nothing to do with religion. That's one fundamental. But I disagree that it is all about religion. It is not about religion. It is about land. And somebody wants a land where millions of people are living and have been living for centuries. There's going to be trouble. It's going to be not just trouble. There's going to be bloodshed. That's what's happening. That's the answer to your question. And when you say religion, what religion was involved when one Christian nation, Germany, went and occupied wanted to take, as Lebensraum wanted to occupy and take over France. Today it was France, next day it was Belgium, it was some other, it was the whole of Europe. Nothing to do with religion. One nation wanted somebody else's land. It is land. It's the same with the Falklands. The Argentina wanted British land, the Falklands. It's the same with Napoleon. Napoleon was Christian. All the land he wanted belonged to Christians, but he still wanted the land. So when the dog, one dog wants another dog's bone, it's got nothing to do with religion. It's just having what you have.
Yeah, but listen, we're talking about, seems to be talking about several different things. Land is land. It's your inherited. You're indigenous. It's your country. People get very passionate about this. I think, and that is my opinion, it has a lot to do with religion in that area, because for the simple reason, if you can't coexist, what makes you not able to coexist? So it has to be religion, but how do you resolve? More importantly, we can talk about this till the cows come home. How would you resolve this? What is it? And it's not a simple solution, but what would be your solution, David, to this problem right now?
My solution is the Israelis, the Jews, no matter they came and they took over the land. Give and forget. Let them stay in the land. But this idea of a Jewish apartheid state on someone's land has to go. This idea of Zionism, a Jewish apartheid state on someone else's land, that has to be abandoned. I mean, South Africa did it. The minute the white South Africans said, apartheid is going to go. The minute they said, we're not going back to Holland. There were Boers who came from Holland, and there were Englishmen who came from England, and they settled down and they wanted to be the masters of South Africa. Now that's inherently unjust. And that's what Zionism is all about, setting up a Jewish homeland, on the land, on the bodies, over the bodies, and the liberty of the people there. That idea is all of us has to do. So the answer is not just with Israel. All of us, the entire world has to say that's wrong, that's illegal, that's immoral, unethical, all of that sort of thing.
That doesn't seem like it's going to happen, no?
Well, then it happened in South Africa. The minute they abandoned apartheid, the minute they said you were going to share this land in peace, in love.
David, South Africa had Nelson Mandela. These poor guys they're living right now, they're living in a war zone. I've mentioned this. They've been bombed to bits. They don't have any kind of formalized government. There's no, forget about infrastructure. They don't have water, nothing, right? So in order to get a voice on the world stage, to be able to govern themselves and take care of themselves and rule their own land, you want to have some kind of somebody powerful or some kind of an organization or a leader that can step up and say, guys, we've had enough of this. This is what we want. I am going to represent the Palestinians, and we will go and meet Benjamin in Israel, and we'll come up with some amicable solution. It's not going to happen. It's not that easy. These guys have no chance to fight for themselves right now. By the way, the world is always targeting them because they've got Hamas, they've got a lot of terrorist organizations that are buried underground and in I don't know the word, but it's integrated into their society. Until you get rid of these terrorist organizations, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, there's a lot of uneasiness in the world. They don't want to give them any kind of autonomy. It may be their land, but I agree with you 100%. In order to rule your land, you've got to have a leader. You've got to have some strong fundamental body of politicians or government, or even one, like you've had these characters, these personalities that have been able to stand up and tell the world, listen, we will take care of ourselves. What do you do with these poor Palestinians? Who is representing them? How did they have a voice on the world stage to be able to say we can take care of ourselves? Because they can't right now. They're at the mercy of everything and everybody else. No?
Okay. You've raised a lot of questions, okay? And one of the things is who has the responsibility? The simple answer to that is you and me and the world. When the law is broken, let's say they're criminals at loose in Goa, mugging people, murdering people, doing all kinds of horrible things. You don't ask the victims to say, look, let's find justice. Civilization is not the victim. Civilization is all of human society. If there's a breakdown in civilization, which this is, somebody else's land, if, let's say, France is occupied by Germany and the French are occupied, and they're hopelessly, militarily, in every sense, economically, they're overpowered by the conqueror and the occupier. You can't say to them, well, sit back and say, hey, you French, now what are you guys going to do? Who's your leader? Who's going to do it? That is, pardon me, Merv, that is the morality of the world today. The victim, the rape victim has to find, and the rape victims have to find their leader instead of civilization, law and order. Civil society saying, this is a wrong. We were responsible for that wrong. We made you Palestinians suffer. We shouted you. A horrific crime was committed in another continent by another people. You are the fall guys. And now that those same guys who made them the fall guys are now asking them, hey guys, find a leader. You are occupied. You have no democracy. You've got to find a leader in no democracy. You're occupied.
It's
very... Election, find a leader, get yourself out of the mess. We have nothing. We don't have. It's like Pontius Pilate.
David, that's a tall order, my friend. That is a tall... When people are surviving to eat food, there's no way these poor guys in Palestine, right now in Gaza, in that area... There's nothing. You have literally nothing. Here in Goa, if I don't have a job and I'm broke and I'm destitute and I have nothing, I can go and get a coconut and survive for maybe a couple of hours, drink the water, you'll have people handing out food. When you think about where these guys are living, how they're living, the world wants to help. You've got aid trucks that are being stopped at the borders. You've got Nothing. So I agree with you 100%. I start with me. I don't have a problem with it. I agree with you 100%. Let's get them on their feet and help them out. Do you want to give it to Trump and he can build a resort like he claimed? Is that going to solve the problem? Is realistic? That's a joke, by the way. These guys are in they're in a bad way, in a bad shape. Where do you start? I know I'm asking you very, very difficult question. You're very passionate and knowledgeable, and I appreciate you taking the time to sit and chat to us. How, when, where, who would lead these guys to get a start to take care of themselves?
Merv, you can't have leadership. You need freedom to have a liberty. You need to have leaders. You need, if you don't mind my saying, all of us, the entire world is preaching from a pedestal.
Yeah,
we're a high horse, and we're telling them, guys, have leadership. The primary requisite to have leadership is freedom of speech and democracy. When you have, what sort of leadership could the French have in occupied France? The leaders were down, de Gaulle and the others were in England. The leadership was in England, staging a revolution. Who's going to do that? So it's a collapse of the world's morality. They have washed their hands like Pontius Pilate. We put you in that mess, you get yourselves out. So you are asking for a solution. The solution lies with the accomplices. That's you, me, and the whole world. All the Western nations which shafted them of their liberty. But it's up to them. It's up to the forces of law and order to fix things, not the victims. If hooligans and thugs are running around Goa, it's not up to the victims to sort it out. The police, civil society has to fix it. You have made this error. You got to fix it.
Easier said than done. I agree with you, mate. We're on the same. Daniel, I am on the same page with you. And by the way, may I say, it is a pleasure. It's nice to speak to somebody who's so knowledgeable. And your analogies and how you explain these things, people out there listening might not understand it, but it's when you make it down, you break it down, it makes it so enjoyable. It is a heavy topic. It is not a topic we're going to solve on the show, but I'm glad that you are talking about this with us on this Easter Sunday, a time of peace. One day, and by the way, Vladimir out of the blue, they called a truce for one day. In his war with Ukraine, they've been trying to resolve the problem. You've got my friend Donald Trump in the U.S. trying to fix it. He said he'd come and solve it in 24 hours. It's been a couple of months. At least Easter Sunday gives the Ukrainians and the poor Russian fighting soldiers.
Take a break.
He's going to take a break. I want to talk to you guys, by the way. I've got to explain to you. It is a time that we decided a long time ago we wanted to speak about peace. I am intrigued. I would love to hear from you, by the way, guys. If you guys are out there and you can get in touch with us. Is WhatsApp working finally? Is it on? Somebody can get in touch with us? How do they get in touch with us?
Yes, they could actually message us on WhatsApp.
Are you streaming this live, Ajoy? Is this being streamed live?
Absolutely live.
On what?
On YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram.
And on Twitch.
On Twitch. But you know what? We're mainly on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. So message us on the link. You have a chat option in all of these platforms. So just send us a message. Give us your thoughts. It's a very complicated issue, but we got to start somewhere. So yeah, message us on each of these platforms, and we will talk about it. I'm
gonna ask Willie a simple question. Can you break that down even further? Ajoy, what you said is makes so much sense. We're in the early baby walking steps, taking stage of setting this up. Yeah. If somebody wants to get in touch with us, Willie, how do they do this? Like Ajoy said, you can go to all these social media platforms. How? For example, if I go to Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, I want to be able to contact you and say, "Hi, Wilbert, how are you doing?" How would you do it? Break it down.
So once they drop us a message, we can contact them through WhatsApp. We can send them a message.
They drop you a message where? On Facebook, on all these different platforms?
Yeah, on any of the social platforms. So we can give them a link to join on the group, on the chat, and we can have them on, whether through video or through audio itself.
I'm still lost, yeah? So for example, if I'm watching YouTube right now, and I want to say, you know what, I agree with David or Merv, and I've got a different opinion. On YouTube, there's no link on YouTube. You would message?
So they will have to go to social media like Instagram or Facebook, and we have included the WhatsApp number on this description on the YouTube video itself.
I am not very IT savvy. I'm not social media savvy. For me, the easiest way would be WhatsApp. Get on WhatsApp, send us a message on WhatsApp. The easiest and most straightforward way. You could watch us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. But for me, who's a little bit challenged, the easiest way would be to get on WhatsApp, 7507246. Send us a message. We'll send you a link. We'd love to hear from you, take you on the air. What's all that?
Yeah, that's all our social media handles, and of course the WhatsApp number 7507246. Primarily, if you message us on WhatsApp, we will be able to respond a lot quicker. So that's the way to go.
I want to continue talking about this lovely topic for Easter, but another thing I wanted to say to you is I'm intrigued by David's Goan heritage. We've got links, Ajo. I didn't know about this, but the Albuquerque. Go on, tell me what you're going to say. Say it.
Yeah, David is back, so he can fill you in on those links.
David, you got a weak bladder or something? You got to feed the cat, or what's going on over there, mate?
I have. Hey, look, our temperatures are different.
Is that why you're running? Where are you going, by the way? Are you going to have a shot at Blue Rock every time, or you going to have a bite, or going to take a wee, or what we doing?
I am. You know, in Goa,
You're damn sure not brushing your hair. Let me tell you, we're doing a live show, you know, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
In Goa, we don't say eat. We say, they hold ourselves down there. We say, tekota.
I don't know what he said.
He's saying when people want to go, that's what they say.
It is. I can see it's dark in the background. Is it late night? What time is it in Australia?
It is 11:24.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and it's well, the temperature. I don't think my bladder doesn't take to winter. It's not winter. It's autumn.
It is.
Yeah.
We wanted to do this. We wanted to do this show at a decent time so that we could get everybody from all over the world listening, can stream, can listen to us, can. It's 11 something there in Australia. It's probably early morning somewhere. But it is so lovely to actually have somebody who's from Goa. I've got to get more into this. So you've got to, you touched on this when we introduced you earlier. How do you know, or how are our families related? Tell me.
All right. I don't know whether we're related. I think I think most Goans are related in some way or the other. Because it's like the Parsis. It's a very small community. But what I believe is that your dad was my hero. And I don't know whether he had this son called Batso. And I don't know whether that's you.
That's my older brother, Morris. Yeah, go on.
So then my father came in and he left the railways and came to Goa and we to Bombay. And we lived in Chembur. And so did your dad, Morris.
Yeah.
And your dad was a character. A real Goankar, a Goan man. And boy, he was my hero because he was tough.
Yeah.
He was one toughie. And it's something like my own family. I am a bit of the ugly, I won't say ugly, perhaps ugly duckling.
Not at all. Let me tell you.
A rough hollow in this thing, but my sisters are more, they're perfect ladies, more genteel. And your dad was my kind of a guy. I loved the guy. He used to go. There was a place called Khatla,
Yeah.
Slum, and the lower socioeconomic part of town. He was more comfortable there. He used to go down there and mix with the lads down there and come back and be friends with them. And he adopted one of the kids from there and he brought them over to your house and he treated him like his son. And I don't think that went off well. But that's the sort of guy. If he loved you, he loved you. Wow. But he was a character and tough. And to contrast was his sister. I think her name was Viola, and she was my headmistress. Yeah, it's different.
Auntie V, yeah. She was the headmistress at OLPS Church in Chembur.
Yeah. That was my school. And here was sort of right next to the school was this football field, which it was a football field, it was a hockey field, was everything. It was a cricket field. And your dad used to play cricket once a year, married versus bachelor. So he was married. And he was one of those guys who'd come on and whoop, hey, Morris, 6. The next one would be a 4, a 6. And the ball is to get lost, it's to go over the rooftops. And that sort of a guy. And then suddenly used to go out. But oh boy, he was my hero. And he used to come over. And then I didn't meet you much, but I met your mom, Thelma, perfect lady.
We were very, very young at the time, and I've heard the stories. I'm intrigued because Dad was a character, and he was a sportsman, and he loved the sports. And I tell the story many times to people about how we were encouraged to do everything. You have to have a balance in life. You have to also play sports, and we loved it because growing up in Chembur, like you said, our backyard was the neighborhood playing ground. Everybody, including cousins, family, friends, anybody who lived close by would come there in the evenings. You had to sweep Dad's yard. That was the one chore you had to do to play in his yard. So you'd sweep the garden, get all the leaves out, and then we'd play tennis court and cricket and badminton and all these sports in the back. And I was very young. But he always, and I don't care who you were, how old, young, status, nothing meant anything to him. You're more than welcome to come to the Britto 555 house. We had a yard in the back and play the sport. So I've heard a lot of these stories. It's funny because I've told Ajoy this story about how when Aisha, the first time I met Aisha, she walked into Kantari, which was Morris's bar in Saligaon. And just by her walk, he said, you are, what did he say, Ajoy? What was your granddad's name?
You look like Robert Albuquerque.
No, you walk like Robert Albuquerque.
Okay, all right.
And just, I'm not kidding, I swear to you. He said to her, by looking and seeing Aisha walk into Kantari, he said, you've got to be related to Robert Albuquerque. So it's funny that you have all these traits, these character traits. You've told me something that's blown my mind, that you knew Dad, and I've heard the stories about playing all the sports. When did you leave Chembur? When did you spend time in Goa? Did you go straight to Australia? How'd that work out for you?
I left Chembur we left in, I think, in 70 or so, perhaps 71. And then, very strangely, our next door neighbor was Urban Lobo, Urban and Mercedes. And she was one of those soprano singers par excellence, and so they moved over. Before we knew it, we moved over and we became friends there, a friendship. So there was a third family. They were, I don't know if you know them, there was, they've got this daughter, Andrea. So there was, she is, wait on, your aunt.
Not Bernard and Andrea, you're talking about Andrea de Costas.
Andrea, your cousin.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
And you came later, so we followed. I think there was some kind of an exodus,
Yeah.
all these Chemburites. And she's your cousin.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. She was a lovely aunt. I loved her.
She was. Andy's still around. She's still in Bombay. It was some of the nicest times. It was some of the nicest times, and we've spoken about this many times. I want to do a whole show about Chembur, by the way. We grew up there. It was a Catholic colony, with the church being the center of the colony, 10th Road, Our Lady of Perpetual Succor Church. No, it wasn't. Was it? What was the church? What was that church? It was OLPS Church, right?
It was Our Lady of Perpetual Succor, yes. Redemptress, run by the Redemptress, yeah.
And we had, I talk about it, it brings such a laugh to my face, smile to my face, makes me so happy. We grew up on the different roads. So the church was on the 10th. You had 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16th. You had Central Avenue, and you had the other roads. It was mirrored on the other side. But we had such a blessed, simple time where we grew up as kids playing all the games, the Chor Police and the Seven Tides Lobby, all these games, and everybody knew each other. Kids were protected. We all went to school. We had to study hard, but we came home in the evenings, and we couldn't wait to get home, throw your bags off and play. You had all the neighborhood kids, most of them family and relatives, but it was such a simple time. There were no computers and mobile phones, and there were TVs and all this kind of stuff. But we had very, very simple childhoods, but we think so fondly, no matter where we are, when we get together. We talk about these places, like you're mentioning Chembur. You mentioned a couple of people that I do know. I was too much, as they call me, of a kacha bacha. I was born in 70, so I missed a lot of these good times. But I do remember the stories. I've heard the stories, and because of the people that I surround myself and some of my older cousins, I've heard these same stories. You left very early. There was an exodus of a lot of the people that lived in Chembur that moved all over the world, to move to Canada, moved to Australia, moved to the UK, moved to the States, moved everywhere, yeah? And that's what this show is all about, David. I've got to tell you, I love the fact that on our, the second, third show, we're talking to you, and you've got this connection, not just with India, not with Bombay, but about Goa. I'm going to bring this all the way around back to Goa, because have you been to Goa recently, by the way? When's the last time you were here?
I was here Jan-Feb.
Of this year, 25?
Yes, I was there, yeah.
Okay, so, go on.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, it's changed. We live here, and I love this place, and I talk about it to so many people. Yeah. That's what the show is all about. I want people living anywhere around the world that have got a connection, whether you live there, you're going, you're not going, you're a tourist, you've been there. I want to know what you miss the most now that you've been back to Goan January 2025. What do you miss most about the more simple times back when you used to come and visit this place?
Oh, I miss one thing is pulling water from a well by hand. The other thing is going with pontios. We used to go with lamps. There was no electricity till 69. We'd go from one room to the other with pontios. We'd light a lamp, and then there were ghost stories. And we had an uncle who tell us ghosts. I think every family had an uncle who tell them ghost stories, just to tease them. And with those lamps, shadows would follow you. We were scared of those shadows. And then in Goa, the bathrooms always down at the end of the house, bottom end of the house, the biggie ones. So then you had to go with those, and then you were so scared stiff. Oh my God! And those ghost stories.
You'd run. People are hearing this for the first time. The piggy toilets back in the day was recycling at its finest. Some of the best sod patel I've ever had was made from those pigs. Very simple times. Yeah, we didn't have grills on the windows. The doors were left open. We used to walk from where we lived in Saligaon. My older siblings would walk from Saligaon to the Kalangut beach. There was a single road before the Chogam Road. You go to the beach, you had to be home before Angelus. 7 o'clock was Rosary. You had to take showers in these dark toilets, but they had this big copper cauldron that you'd heat the wood under. And it was scary. We were shit scared. We'd run to the toilets, to the showers, and run back before the light went out. But those were very, very simple times. Very fond memories. To see this place nowadays, it's a different can of worms. Now everything's lit up and bright and all the gaudy colors and fancy flashy cars and the hotels and the resorts and the traffic and all the problems of a big city. It's still the lovely, beloved Goa, but it's changed a lot. Now, Daniel?
It has.
David, I'm calling him Daniel now. Sorry, David. It has changed. I don't know what would be certain. I've asked this question to many people before. Would you be willing to give up that mobile phone to go back to the good old days?
I would.
Would you?
I would. And, I was drawn by this whole materialism thing and the luxury, all the goods. We never had any of the things, We had to wait for somebody from the Gulf to come back and get us something like a stereo system. Ajoy's mother went to Japan and got me that.
The lovely Veena.
Yeah, lovely Veena.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. How did Aisha and Angeli get all the good looks? What happened to Ajoy? He got the brains, or?
I didn't get that either.
Yeah. I think Ajoy and I are a bit like us, we don't. I don't know. We're trying to live up to our sisters, and it's a catch-up game. But I suppose we all have our personalities, Ajoy's a wonderful guy.
Don't sell yourself short. I'm kidding. I know the family very well. I love Ajoy to bits. And don't sell yourself short. You're a good-looking guy, my friend. Let me tell you, there'd be many people out there that would die to look like you. Sorry, you were saying so. You would wait for people to come back from the Gulf and bring you the toys and the gifts, yeah?
You guys are just bald head bonding right now. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But your dad was only the second most colorful. He didn't. The first place and most colorful, most character went to another guy. I must tell you, in the next show that you have, I must tell you all about him. Wow, we had fabulous times. He gave us all our raw mangoes. We used to steal them.
My dad?
No.
Who are you talking about?
Your dad was less colorful than this guy. So the award goes to this other guy. I don't know whether I should mention his name. People have.
Come on, tell us his name.
Oh man, he was obsessed with his garden. You couldn't get anything a cent out of him. Yeah. And he would scrimp and save on everything. And he jealously guarded his. He had this in Chembur. I think it was facing Central Avenue. Or one side of it was on Central. He had this orchard with mangoes, all the fruit, chickus, all the things that young boys loved. And what we loved most were his mangoes. We didn't want his mangoes when they were ripe. We wanted them. Something I don't know about boys. They crave mangoes. and they crave raw mangoes, and they like to have it. They like to have it cut and put a little bit of salt and chili powder. That's it. And so we had these old in OLPS school. We had these old-fashioned classrooms with none of all this tech, these smart boards and whatnot. We had blackboards, and then the teacher would. So then the teacher would say something, talk a lot, and then we want her to write something on the board. Teacher would tell her, "Can you write that on the board?" She'd go and oblige and turn her back to us, and that's when. So we had these chefs. They were cutting those. His name was Mr. Lobo. They were cutting his raw mangoes.
Mr. Lobo's mangoes.
And they were stealing his raw mangoes. They were cutting it up, putting all that, and they were passing it forward. But these guys used to have, so they used to have it themselves. First they used to have the first serve themselves instead of serving the guests, that is the rest of the class. We wanted it, so then we used to get impatient, and we used to turn and give us our share. They'll pass it up to the front. It was relayed. And that's exactly then the teacher would turn, and then we'd get caught, and that would get confiscated. But you couldn't. So Mr. Lobo, he was like one of these old, something like a Ripman Bingo.
Oh my!
And he had the stick danda,
wow.
And he would. So it was not just the mangoes. It was how you got the mangoes that added to the fun.
It's always the neighbor's mangoes taste the sweetest, don't they? You could have had a mango tree in your own garden, and you'd never want to eat your mango. Oh, it's a trait. It's a Goan thing. We did it all the time. The neighbor's trees' fruits bared the sweetest fruit.
Yeah.
Wow. So in OLPS, I remember the school. We used to come and play in the quadrangle.
Yes.
Great, good, fond memories. It is mango season, by the way. You mentioned Urak earlier. It's also going to be mango season soon. Do you get good mangoes in Australia?
We do, but not as good as the Malkurat. Not at all.
There you go.
I prefer the Malkurat to the Alfonso mango. You don't get them. Nowhere as delicious. All love.
The king Alfonso, right? The king of the mangoes.
Not as I love
right?
the Malkurat. Malkurat has more fiber. But that's what it's more, and I think it has more. It has more flavor. It's more flavoursome. Alfonso is too sanitized. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say to you, I am so intrigued. I am so glad that we had a chance to speak to you today. It is a pleasure because we're going to have you on. Definitely have you on for another show. I want to talk to you about the good old days, the simpler times in Goa, what we could do in our own way to make this place a better place. We've got politics and we've got corruption and we've got so many things that make us sad about this place. But you know what, David? We don't have a chance or a place to vent our opinions or to be heard or have people get involved and call in and speak about things. You're as passionate probably as anyone like me who loves this place and would love to see a change. We do laugh and joke, but we definitely want to make sure that people understand that we're passionate about Goa and we want to make it change for the better. I'm going to have a show where we talk about Goa at a later time because this show is in its fledgling stage right now. We're brand new. We want to have more people interact, call us, WhatsApp us, message us. So while we're talking, we're going to have people calling in and voice their opinion and ask us questions. But we're so passionate and love this place so much, and we see it developing, and we understand development comes at a cost. But we've got to do something and do something quickly if we're going to have anything of this beautiful memory left over. We can sit and talk about the mangoes and Urak and the simpler times, but this place is changing. I'd ask you a couple of questions and what you change. We're going to run out of time very soon. I want to thank you. This Easter message for this Easter Sunday broadcast that we're doing is something that we wanted to speak to you about. And like you said about solving the problem in Gaza between the Palestinians and the Jews, we take this time as religious people, that people have faith, to reach out to anybody. You could be Muslim, you could be Hindu, you could be Catholic, you could be Jewish, you could be of any faith. Today's a day of peace. It shouldn't be one day. We should be looking forward to try and creating that peace and oneness and humanity amongst everybody. It doesn't make a difference who you are, what you look like, what religion, race, creed, caste. what would be your message on this Easter broadcast, on this Easter Sunday? A final word of wisdom, if something you could impart on people listening, or any of us here in the studio.
My first thing is to cut out terms. I'm sorry, Merv, I'm going to be rather brutal to you, okay? Okay, I'm going to punch you one of those. You did stress a lot on the Palestinian side, the victim, on the rape victim. The rape victim shouldn't scratch back. You shouldn't have a Hamas. The rape victim shouldn't have a Hamas to fight back her rapist. But then look at this picture, okay? This was Palestine. 94% of the land was owned by Palestinian, and they lose their land and it reaches here. Let's give you this map. If you had an India and suddenly this part of it becomes Israel, how did that part of India become Israel, if not with the Hamas? The Hamas that you're talking of October 7 has to be a pale comparison to the Hamas that stripped the Indians of this part of their land and made it that way. So it defies logic that, it'll defy logic to say that these guys, it defies logic that these guys are the Hamas. These guys were the Hamas to do it. That's what I'm trying to make. And, the clock, and that's one thing my advice is to turn away from that clock and to look back and to start the clock back to 1948 when 531 villages, the Palestinians were done. Wasn't that a Hamas who did it? Look at the Deir Yassin massacre. Entire villages, people raped, stripped, shot, lined up and shot. Talk about the Tantura massacre. That was in 1948. 1982, 18,000 Palestinians killed in Lebanon. Why? And they were just butchered. So the question every person needs to ask is, what happened? Hamas was formed in 1987. The Palestinians gave the world, the same world which is preaching to them and using words like Hamas. What was that world doing? A world which was an accomplice, which stripped them of their land, which shafted them of their land and their liberty. What were they doing? Are we saying, hypothetically, that if India was taken away through a genocide, we would not form a Hamas? Wouldn't that be a hypothetical? It's something like those, in the old days we used to have these Miss India competition, Femina Miss. And what would you do? The question asked, the judge would ask, and everyone would say, if I become Miss India, I will give up. I won't become a model. I won't make any more bucks. I'm going to join Mother Teresa's convent and I'm going to start dedicating my life to all the lepers down there. And that's what people are saying. If our India was invaded, we were taken off our land, we were moved to a small little corner, we wouldn't fight back, we wouldn't have a Hamas, we would roll out the red carpet. Bollocks. Bollocks. It's never happened in entire history. It's never happened. The Red Indians fought back. The Jews fought back. They had the Warsaw and Vilna uprisings. The Native Americans did horrible. The whites did horrible things to strip the Native Americans of their land, and so did the conquistadors in Pizarro and Columbus and all the others. To take over someone's land which they've loved, you have to be a terrible Hamas, and that's what they did to the Aboriginals. And the Aboriginals fought back, and they had horrific massacres. The Hamas. So we've got to decide which was first, the horse or the cart. Did the invasion, the occupation, was that the horse? And wasn't the Hamas the response to the much bigger Hamas of the colonizer, of the occupier?
By the way, for the people listening, I want everybody to know that when David's talking about Hamas, we're not encouraging any kind of violence, any kind of ill treatment or killing of any kind of sort. He's using it as an analogy, basically, to understand that you need somebody to fight for you. David, I'm at a loss for words, because you make a very good point, but it's going to be a lot more of a show that we're going to have to be able to experience and have people interact, because we seem to be on the same page, but there are going to be many, many opinions. And like they say, excuse my French, just like an asshole, everybody's got an opinion. So there's going to be loads of people that want to call in.
Yeah.
and tell us what they think and how we're right and how we're wrong, and we will do that on another show on this Easter Sunday. My friend, it's been an absolute pleasure. One of many. Believe you me, you will definitely be on the show again. We're going to have to get you on, and like I said, maybe on a lighter topic. But for now, thank you for staying up late, for hanging out with us, for being so entertainment. I think it may be time for your third break, huh?
Yeah, it might, no, not right now. I think I've flushed myself, you know. Yeah. The Tenkota is not happening anymore.
Falha.
My friend, Dio Bore Guru, and we will speak to you once again in the future. I look forward to it. God bless. Happy Easter.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
That is exactly what this is about, guys. That is so interesting because he's such a great guy, so easy to talk to, and it's interesting. It makes me laugh. It makes me all warm and fuzzy inside because he knows me. I've never met him, and our families obviously know each other. He knew my dad and Chimbo, and like I said, there's another topic. But it's so great that you can actually meet people, random people that I would never know. Obviously, he's related to you, Ajoy, and you were kind enough to introduce us to him. We're going to be speaking to people all the time, related, unrelated, people that live all over the world that have a connection to what we love and we're so passionate about here in Goan. That's exactly what we want from everybody. Guys, this is the Merv Britto Show. We're all over social media, and for no other reason that we want to get people, Goan people, non-Goan people, tourists, travelers, foreigners, wherever you're from, we want you to get in touch with us. Check us out on social media, like I said, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. What are all of them, mate? Come on, Willie, get in there, get in the game. What is all that? How do they get in touch with us?
We are currently live on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch, which only gamers use. And you can contact us through Instagram, Facebook, and even on WhatsApp. You can see our numbers on top.
You can get in touch with us. You can listen to the show. You can stream the show. As we get better, as we develop, we're going to progress, and we will have it more polished and a lot less hiccups and wrinkles like we had today. But this is a live show. This is one of the only live shows where you can call in and get on the air with us. Live on the air, you can be seen if you'd like on WhatsApp 750-724-6246. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. For this Easter show, I want to put out a simple message. Our Easter message to everybody listening and everybody out there is to offer a hand of friendship, of peace, whether you're Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Hindu, any religion out there. We need the help. We need the prayers. We need to think and try and be human before anything else. Everybody's so busy trying to make ends meet and survive. But just like simpler times when we spoke about it earlier, back in the day, at the end of the day, we're all human. We go back to the simpler times and think less about what we need to have or what we want and just be more human. Take care of each other, love each other, hope, folks. Ajoy, what would you like to say before we end this show?
David is a very passionate person, and this problem, this issue has been long. It goes way back into the past. And the whole purpose of today's show was to try and see how we could live with each other, because we just have this one world, and that is based on understanding and acceptance and forgiveness and justice. So I think this is one conversation that we will have of many, and we're going to encourage that. We want the world to accept each other and to accept the good in each other and latch onto that and build on that.
Use religion for the good, for positive, no? Everybody wants to be religious and we're holy and we're this and that and we go to the temple and we go to the church and we do all of these things. It starts at home. It's a simple deed that you can do to help somebody out that you don't have to. Rich, poor, whatever the case may be. Just reach out a hand, dig into your pocket, just do something nice. Use religion for the good. Happy Easter, everybody. We will be back on the air again next Sunday. Similar time, we'll advertise it on all these social media websites. But for now, thank you for watching the Merv Britto Show. You have a wonderful day today, and we will see you next week.
Take care, guys.
Have a good day.